we just put the new battery in and the new cables and stuff. And it reads 1262 voltage wise. So now we're going to go start. I got the new alternator in there yesterday. I got to do a start up here. And then we'll measure and see if it's getting higher voltage than 1262. Proves the alternator is working, the new alternator. I didn't put my relay in for the fuel pump. What did I do with it? Idiot. There we go. Alright, that should be the electric fuel pump. You should hear it clickety-clack, because that's why they call them a clickety-clack. Furnace is on. Sorry about the noise. I'm not going to jump up. Pumping. Alright, we're trying to check for oil leaks under here with the UV detector. Let's see. I put the fluid in the oil. It just makes it glow. I gotta... Gonna let this run. I got a little bit coming down here now. All right, so first now we're going to work for that oil leak. I see the the dye is starting to come through. So I have to take off the drive shaft before we can drop the transmission. Yada, 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 yada. What there are is there's nuts on these saddles, see? Right here, and there's just a loop that goes around the U-joint. It's funny, after you loosen one, the other one's loose. All right. Yeah, just a couple of half-inch bolts with 5/16 straps. Holds the whole driveline together. I know it don't seem like much. All right. Of course, I got the lights set up so they're right in my face. And you want to tighten these nice and evenly when you go to put them back in, one side then the other, just quarter turn, you know. I've had this apart a lot of times, so I know all about it. I had a new drive shaft built back 20 years ago almost, when I rebuilt this car back then. I gotta find a place to put my parts. I'm gonna put it right on this box. Because hopefully I'll get this out, find the leak, fix the leak, and be done. I hope it's not the main seal. If it's the oil pan gasket, I can drop it down, clean it up, put some RTV on it. That's my cure right now. Anyway, it's one of those Felpro all rubber gaskets on the oil pan. So come on, you can get out of there. There we go. Now the other drawback of this is when I pull this out of the transmission up there, there's going to be some transmission fluid that's going to want to come out. Gonna want to. And I brought a plastic bag and rubber bands to put over it to try to reduce the leakage. So it's way up in there. You can see the end of the... Where are you? Right there. Right there. It's the end of the drive shaft. Okay, so let's see. Get some rubber bands. Well, I'm going to have to lay this down first, so hopefully this won't leak all over the place. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my oil collector. And just set it under there for now. Now you have to push that forward into the transmission. And then pull it back out. Yeah. Here comes my transmission fluid. So I guess I'm just going to have to wait for that to quit dripping. The next step I need to do is I need to get up and take the shifter off. I should have taken the shifter off when I started. I'm glad I put this under here, aren't you? All right, we're going to wait for that. Okay, so you can see I got the transmission out of the car. After I pulled out the drive shaft, I this leaked a lot of the transmission fluid, but I put a cap on here with rubber bands and a bag. This is the transmission. There's 4 big bolts that go into the front of it here to attach it to the bell housing. So we took those 4 out. We had to disconnect the hydraulic line to the hydraulic clutch throwout bearing. Cool, cool, cool. And then we took there were 6 bolts in the bell housing and pulled that out. And then there was your plate. Don't let me forget this plate. And this plate goes on. The flywheel, which is over here, came out with 6 bolts. And off in the front of that plate came the clutch. So I didn't show all that, sorry. My grandson was here helping me do all this. It just wasn't time, I wanted to get it done. So anyway, we're looking at the back of the motor now, and we've decided that it is the main seal in the rear that is leaking. Because he had a UV light and went around here, and we didn't see any leaks other than there seems to be a lot of it right here, which is where the damn main seal is. So I pulled out the cross member, which has 2 great big bolts that go from here across to there. And that's laying down there. And I also marked it with a white paint line there and a white paint line there, so I know which side goes in first. I think I may or may not have to drop this steering linkage. So until we have to, we're not going to. All right, all right. I disconnected my steering damper. I've got to take all the bolts out of the oil pan. Now there's no sealant on that because that's a rubber gasket and it does not leak. I'm hoping I can reuse it. So there's a crap load of 7/16 and then there's 4 1/2" at each end. So I'm just going to zip them all off. All right, friends and fans of Bob's Barn Workshop, we are back. I got my oil pan gasket today to finish up reassembling this and fixing the oil leak. So I'm going to have to clean off the surfaces of the gasket areas, which they can have oil. They just don't want debris. And I've got to clean out these pockets in the corners, which I did. So they got to be sprayed with brake clean. And so I've got to install this gasket. And I got the lovely wife coming to assist just in case, so she can hold something up or do this or that or the other thing while we get this back up in here. So this is going to be a ball. I think when I shove the gasket up on there, it'll stay. So I don't have to worry about holding that. But we'll see what we can do first. So I'm going to clean these surfaces. We'll come back. All right, so now I'm going to spray down this area with brake cleaner and paper towels. Because these are the areas that have to be sealed well. I tried using that wireless mic, but it sucked. So we need to get up in there. The beauty of this brake clean is it'll just dry immediately quick. It'll be gone in seconds. Try to get the oil out of the way here. All right. We think that's all I got to do. I just got to let that dry for a little bit now. Now I got to find a good tube of RTV. I used a lot of this Ultra Black during the original assembly. Oh, this one's good. All right. I'm going to push a little bit of this out first to clear out the partially hardened stuff. We need to put a little blob. Really should pull this guy out. Nice about these studs, they just screw in and screw out quickly. I gotta clean the rubber off them. This is the oldest and nastiest looking tube, but it looks like the best one. I just need to put, there's a separation between the said little is more, less is more, so I'm going to do a little less more here. I'm going to push that up in there like that. There we go. Right there, they say. And juice it into that hole. I'm just going to put a smear right there. There's a little pin. I want to make sure that don't leak. All right. We are ready for installation. Here we go. Now I got to find which way is which. Pretty sure this is the right way. I remember this one fit weird. A little tight up there. All right. We're on. I got my oil pan over here all clean. Now's when I need my assistant. Okay, so here we go. I had to get the oil pickup up in there. I get one on the opposite side. I got it. All right, boss. Now it's all just nuts and bolts.
Who's that?
I'm going to start with this guy. Turn that wrench till you feel it make a thud. It's gonna turn pretty. There you go. That indicates that you've reached your torque spec. Well, the next thing I gotta do is get the bell housing back on, and not the bell housing, but the backing plate. And that sits right on dowel pins. Okay. Here's your flywheel slash plate, dear. All right, so I have marked that where she come off, and I got the flywheel plate ready to go on. Yeah, my helper ain't helping much. I need you quick. Let me grab this. I have that plate right there. It's got a little warp to it, so I don't want to go on those pins. See those pins that's trying to go on? Now I gotta line this guy up. There you go. Okay, give me a bowl. There we go. She can't come off now. Thanks, honey. That'll wash right off. Just take a rag. These are supposed to be torqued to 85. So we had to put high temperature thread sealant on these because they go through these holes in the end of the shaft that go through into the engine compartment or the crank case. You know what I mean. So check to see if this is the right size bowl. It is. So I'm just going to run these on. Oh, shit. Run these on quick with my little impact. An alternating pattern here. Grease running all down the front of me, of course. I'm going to need your help again, boss. Got to figure out what I'm going to do. When I had this out of the car, I could put the pry bar against it and, you know, hold it. There's no way I can torque these to 85 because it's going to start the engine. Yeah. Not start, you know, turn the engine. How am I going to do that? Gotta figure this out now. Dang it. Shit. Headers don't make it easy. Okay, there we go. I see what I can do. Bell housing bolt. I need you to do this, girlfriend. Hold hard this up, and I'm going to be pulling against you, so we're going to fight. Well, you got good leverage, so you shouldn't feel anything. You got it. You're working it. Okay. I got 6 to do, so. That turn everything, so they gotta be strong and tight. Gotta check one more time all the way around. That's one I missed. This way, double check. Okay, you're done with that, babe. Thank you, boss. Yeah, we're still rolling. All right, so flywheel's on. Flywheel's torqued. I'm going to just weight down this clutch plate, flywheel. That's where the clutch engages. Make sure there's no oily contaminants on the clutch. I already re-greased the pilot bearing, which is that little bearing in the middle where the tip of your input shaft to the transmission comes out of the crankshaft. Just get the black shit off. All right. And now, you've seen this before probably, or maybe. Clutch plate. It's just a disc, and they come with this special tool in the kit with the splines that match your transmission, and they hold that baby there just like that, so that when you put the anyway, that aligns the clutch plate so that when you're putting on, so that when you put the pressure plate on, which has springs that push back hard, against the clutch, if you tighten that down tight and it's not aligned, you can't get your transmission into that hole because it's got to go through those splines and into the transmission. Now I got to put the clutch up on there, and I got to wait for my lovely assistant. Because as I put the clutch on, I have to start slowly tightening those in a a triangle pattern until I get it sucked all the way down. And I like to put a little bit of upward force on this so it doesn't sag. But that's actually the friction plate that causes your clutch to engage. So. Here we go. I gotta find the holes. There they are. Now, as you can see, they're about a ½ inch high. Give me the impact. Thank you. Alright, you just got something here now. Alright. Too tight. Alright. I gotta get one in each corner here. Yeah, you know, just near the tip because they'll spread when it comes around. So we're putting blue on these. No, I don't know if I can reach up in there now. A ½ inch swivel is what I need. Where's my fancy? Yeah, I can get in there without it. I just need to have my fancy.
How about this?
Right here. Just what I bought these for. Let's see if I can tighten these up a little bit. There we go. Rock and rollers. These guys are almost all the way down now. So now I'm going to torque you down. Now these guys I can tighten just fine. Alright. So I'm going to go to the bottom one. just going to chuck them all. All right. Oof, time for a break. My arms are tired. Okay, so just a quick view. I want to show you what we got done. There's the plate, and you can see the two holes up there by the blue that are the top of the bell housing that are hard to get in, and then there's 6 big bolts that go into the bell housing. 2 big fat ones near the bottom, and then 4 smaller ones. And then there's just a couple small ones from the back that help hold the backing plate. But once we get that in, we can do the starter too. We can get the starter hooked back up and that out of the way. And all it's got to go in then is just the transmission and the drive shaft. Drive shaft's easy. That just shoves in and then you tighten 4 bolts on the saddles. I got to bleed the clutch. I guess maybe I might have to make my wife take a ride in the car and push the clutch pedal for me. Battery's going dead. And then, oh, I remember I had to do something fancy to get this in and out. Well, it went in, so I got to get it out. All right, well, here we are. This is where the starter needs to go. And you can see that top bolt up there above that knuckle right here. If I can even point it out. Yeah, you can see it up there in the corner up here. Is on the top. I can't get to it from here. I mean, I can touch it, but I can't really get a wrench or nothing on it. So I've got to come in this way, pass over the top of the engine mount, and that's a straight shot. So I got to snake that up in there first. Try to get that top bolt in. If I can get that top bolt in, the bottom should go in easy. So as I said, I don't really think I can show you too much. You can see the hole where it's got to go. It's got to go right there. You won't be able to see me going over the top, but maybe I can get the bolt in the bottom. And the other thing is this starter is heavier than hell. And I got my other bolt right here. I don't know, maybe I'll just try putting the bottom in first. I don't know, we'll see. We'll lift it up there. It's a pain to get the damn starter itself up through the... I guess I gotta do this. That's gotta be on the top. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. We got a bolt in here so this ain't gonna drop out on my head. And then get this guy right there. Now I can see the hole. So that's the trick, Mustangers. Over the top of the motor mount. This is going in easier than I suspected. All right, now I've got my stubby ratchet so I can actually twist it. Hey, gee, that one is easy. I thought this was going to be an itch bay. Cranking it right up in there. We're almost home. All right, well that wasn't so bad after all. All right, now let me get my long ratchet so I can put some crank on this. Because she got to be tight. the starter falling out. All right. Tools. You gotta have the tools. Torqued. Now the hardest part is this damn little knot that holds the up here, that holds the starting cable on there. So I got to get up in there with my fingertips and try to get that started. I'm going to have my elbow right in front of you as usual. I don't know why I left the nut on there. Now this isn't too bad. You could put it almost on all the way by finger. And you got to be careful because the bolt stud that it's attached to is it rotates because it's like a bolt out through from the inside on a insulated bushing. So it's like you can't get it super tight. It's weird. It's a little more difficult. It's a fingertip kind of thing anyway. I gotta get the lock nut on here. Of course, that one on the floor. Never to be seen again. There it is, way over there. Gosh, how did I go 10 feet? All right. I got myself some waterless hand cleaner. Back in the day, we used to call it like DL. It's just like a paste. And you just goo your hands all up with it and then wipe them off with a towel or a rag. Okay, so the nut's behind there and I can't get it out. All right. There comes the damn lock washer. Damn oily hands. They're a pain in the ass. Because everything's greasy. Typical. I'm going to try putting them on with a pair of needle nose. I know I can get the washer on that way. Pretty sure. Anyway. Yeah. No finger holes there. You can't hang on to the nut and get it started on the stud. All right, I got to get you out of my way. Yeah, I got a nut up there that I'm tightening up on that starter, and everything is greasy because I keep bumping into the steering that I greased. So a 1/12 of a turn every time. Six point, I can have to alternate one side than the other. All right, she's nice and tight. That's German. Nice and tight. So the starter is in. That was the one mechanical thing I still had to get done under here. Now I need to pump the transmission full of fluid. But let me clean off my hands with some cleaner here and we'll get set up for that. So this next step is pretty easy. You've got to pull a 3/8 drive plug out of the side of the transmission. And so you just use the square drag on your wrench. You don't need a socket or nothing. And I've had this plug out several times, so. It's not super tight. And that's the fill oil check hole. So he's looking, he won't turn anymore, so I got to get a stubby extension. That I can just put in there and twist it out my hand. Now that it's loose. You see, it's unfortunately right in the way of the floor pan here too. Okay, there's the plug. Now how this works is when you think your transmission is full of oil, you just stick your pinky in there and see if you can touch any. Well, I can't. So I got new red line oil, and I got a new pumper inner machine, which I'm just going to wave it in front of the thing for you. It's basically a giant syringe. I got it on eBay, or not eBay, Amazon, the jungle site. And then it has a hose that goes in the end, and you suck up your fluid and push it back in. So it's just a giant syringe, just period, all it is. Redline Racing ATF. Okay, so I've got my long extension on here. Let's see how she sucks. I'm going to kind of zoom back so you can see my full view here. I'm going to put the oil collector underneath this so when it gets full, it's going to overflow. That's the sign that you're full. So. It pushes hard. Okay, I'm going to try to suck up what's left, so I'm not going to let you watch. Now this thing actually has a cap too that you can put on the tip, but I'm going to put what I got in there, see if it goes faster. Oh yeah. Lots faster going in. Now I need to open a new cord. Now this comes with a little cap that you can snap on so you don't lose goo all over the place. Very nice. Okay, let him sit there a second. I got to get another liter of fluid here. Cord. My transmission says, oh, nice fresh lug juice here. This stuff is $22 a quart, so it's the good stuff. Redline. Redline's the good stuff. This thing's the bomb, I'm telling you. I guess I'm full. I'm drizzling. All right, put what's left back in my jug. All right, so what do? We put blood back in. I've got a short stubby extension over here somewhere. Quick update, we are just about ready to lower this baby down. We got the fluids and everything. We got the parking brake tightened up. We got the dipstick back in. Oil filter is on, starter's back on and connected. Everything's been torqued. We did that yesterday when we put the transmission in. I know, yeah, it's hard to miss. Hard for us. It was two of us underneath here muscling around. The camera couldn't have seen anything. We did use my Vever jack that I did an unboxing and build with a couple months ago, and it worked perfectly. I did have to stack some wood blocks on it because my header pipes were so close together where the collectors are that I needed to set the transmission up high, but that worked perfectly. And as you can see, there's a 2x4 piece laying on it horizontally. That gave me a place where I could set the transmission and kind of tip it and rock it like a teeter-totter. So as we raised it up, we could get the alignment right. The tough part of putting that transmission back in was getting the input shaft of the transmission through the back of the bell housing while slipping the expanding throwout bearing that goes over the input shaft to push the clutch over the shaft as we engaged it into the splines and into the transmission. But it found its way in as we wiggled it around. So knock wood, we got everything together right. I know it did. It can only go together one way, and we didn't force it any. I've got to bleed the clutch. I've got the reverse light connected up. The speedo seems good. I don't want the cable laying against the... Here, I'm going to pull it down and I'm going to... Can I do that? See, I don't want it to rest on the header pipe. I don't know if I can get a tie wrap around that. That'll do the job. Hold on. Let's try to get that up around the nut. There's nothing up in there else to hook it up to, it's the problem. So I don't know that it's really going to accomplish anything. It's so hard to tighten it from this angle. There we go. I think that's good. I just don't want it to sit on that, you know. My kniffy here. Don't slice your wrist while you're doing it, Bob. All right. Man, everything is sharp under here. I just ran my head into a bolt. That feels good. All right. But nobody lost any fingers or a lot of blood over this, so I think we're good. The old dog is in really, really good shape under here. I mean, she's in really, really good shape. There's a couple of small perforations back on this side where the roof had leaked. But that's the only place I got rust on the whole car. Everything is perfect. Gas tank, I think, is original. And it works perfectly. And, all right, well, I think we're ready to come down. course, the big concern is the oil leak. That was the whole reason for the transmission removal and replacement, so I could get to the main bearing seal in the rear. I didn't have to take the transmission out if I knew it was the rear seal, but I was looking for other problems as I was going, so we were digging for it. Turned out, I believe it was the main seal. So now we're just going to put oil in it. So that's boring. I'll come back after I get the oil in. I got some new battery terminals for this too. But what I'm going to do right now is I can't help it. I got to try to start this and check for oil leak. If the oil leak is worse or something, we're not going. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the coil wire so it won't start. So I can crank it for a while to fill the oil pump up some oil pressure, which should show up. Once I get oil pressure, then I can start. Lift when it started to go. No, it's alright. Alright, but yeah, that was dumb. Make sure it's in neutral, Bob. She's running. We'll check in a few minutes. All right, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty jobs to do. I gotta let the engine cool off so I can try to change that one header gasket, at least that one that's causing me trouble. It's just got a little spit. By the way, I ran this up for half an hour. Not a single drop from the oil pan or the main bearing, which I will keep an eye on. I'm going to get rid of these crappy battery terminals next. So there's a lot of different terminals on this, including the starter. or the alternator. So I'm going to put the alternator on here next. But what I want to do with this puppy is find some kind of heat shrink that'll fit. All right. Tighten that too. Well, that ain't getting tight at all. Wow. I was telling you not to make it too tight. It didn't have it tight at all. There we go. Let's see how this guy's doing. Still turning. You son of a gun. All right, guys. So far, so good, right?